Okay, hopefully this goes better than my last recording. I had to stop it because my uh, tablet crashed. Anyways, I wanted to say thank you for coming to view the video on how to do your homework. I know that we've all been working really hard and learning a ton of new things. And in fact, I have a little thing I wanted to try to do for you guys. Yo estoy estudiar español, pero no comprendo mucho. Pero estoy intentando aprender. Okay, so I have been working really hard to try to learn a little bit of Spanish, and I was trying to say that I'm studying Spanish, but I don't understand much, but I'm trying to learn. Uh, Probably not the best grammar, but I'm trying. I actually had to have Mr. Cornell teach me how to say the last phrase. He helped me learn how to pronounce it a little bit better. But it has helped me remember just how hard it is to learn new things. And I think no matter what age you are, you should always try to learn something new. So even though I know learning a language is very hard when you're 30, I think that it's good for me. So I'm hoping that all of you, all of my wonderful students, are willing to take a challenge like this one where we're trying to learn how to do our assignments on Google Slides. So let's try this together. Hopefully it works for me on my tablet. It's going to be a little tougher, but we'll see how it goes, okay? So I'm going to pull up what our homework looks like on Google Slides. And remember, you need to complete this on Google Classroom. This is what everyone in the school district is doing. All the third graders are doing the homework just like this. So let's read the directions and hopefully we can figure this out and do this together. So I'm looking at Wednesday and it says read the passage all about April, complete the graphic organizer with the passage, complete Wednesday's weekly word problems, and then complete week 30, day 3 daily review. That's not a lot of work. In fact, it should take us less than an hour. So let's get started. Let's read the passage all about April because that's our very first step. April is the 4th month of the year. April is a month that represents the fullness of spring in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, it represents the fullness of fall. For representing spring, April is a month for celebrating life and earth. The name April comes from ancient times. It means to open, and some say it has to do with opening the doors of spring. By April, it is rare to have any fragment of winter. There is not a piece of winter throughout many countries, just the warm weather of spring. Easter comes in the month of April. April has a high record of rain. It is an important time for farmers and gardeners to sow many crops like corn. It is an ideal time to plant young trees. It is perfect to grow plants. April is a month for the planet. April was picked to have Earth Day. Arbor Day and National Tree Planting Day come in the month of spring. College to elementary students will begin or finish a long-awaited spring break. April represents the return of life. Animals will reappear. Birds will come back and start to build nests and lay eggs. April is to open the new time of life with no fragment of winter, just warm days to come. So we did the first part when we read the passage all about April. So I am going to try and see if I can maybe make a little X for that. I'm going to make it small here and then see if I can maybe move it. Let's see. I'm having a hard time picking it up. Ugh, no, I don't think I can pick this up correctly anymore. There we go. It's not perfect, but I can see that I finished it. And then it says complete the graphic organizer with the passage. So this page is the graphic organizer, and you can see that it says what is the first paragraph about, what is the second paragraph about, what's the third paragraph about, what's the fourth about, the fifth, and then there's an inference about the passage and a question about the passage. So we'll do the last two for sure, but the first ones are really not that different from things we've done in the past. So I'm going to add a text box, and you'll have a little icon that looks like the square with the T2 on your Google Slides. That's how you're going to add your text boxes. I'm going to put my name up here. Just type it because we're doing our best to stay the way we're supposed to. Writing our names on our papers, make sure you capitalize correctly. Then I'm going to add another one so I can type my answer for what is the first paragraph about. So if I don't remember what the first paragraph is about, I'm going to go back, going to reread that passage or that paragraph. April is the fourth month of the year. April is a month that represents the fullness of spring in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, it represents the fullness of fall. For representing spring, April is a month for celebrating life and earth. So I think I would say, let's write it down. Remember, capitalize your first letter there. First paragraph is about what April represents around Earth. Because that's what that paragraph seemed to be mostly talking about. Don't forget to end with the punctuation mark. And then you'll go through and you'll do that for each one of the text boxes. You'll create a little box for you to type in. I'm just going to make all of mine right now. Try to move them around, fit them in there correctly. And each paragraph you'll need to give the main idea. I hope it's a little easier for you on the computer to drag your text boxes around. Because it's very hard on the tablet to make them the correct size. Okay, so afterwards, after you're done with all 5 paragraphs and telling what the main idea is, I don't want to give you all the answers. I want to see what some of your ideas are because this is something we've done before. We want to stop and write an inference about the passage, and we've talked about what inferences are. Remember, they're taking what you learned from the passage or what you learned from the text and also what you know about the world already to come up with a new idea that helps you understand the world or the text better. So I'm looking through here and I'm thinking about how it's telling all about how April is all about spring and all these things happen in April, like the rainfall and the farmers have to grow crops. And it even says, like in the third paragraph, that it's an ideal time to plant young trees. It's perfect to grow plants. So I'm going to take what I learned from the passage about how April is such a great time for growing plants, and I'm going to think about what I know about the world. And I know that if I wanted to grow plants, that I should plant them in a good time. And so I think my inference here is going to be, if I want to grow my own plants, April might be the best time to try. I can infer this because, remember, you want to make sure that you support your thoughts with reasons. The passage said that April was ideal for growing plants. And you might have a different inference than mine, but this is what I'm going to go with. And then the last one, right, a question about the passage. So I'll go back and think, what question do I have still? I might say, maybe a simple question like, what does fragment mean? And that question means that I should go back and try to figure this out later on, because the word fragment comes up a lot. And it seems like if they're using it a lot and they underlined it, that maybe it's a word that I should be figuring out. So I will probably come back and answer that question later. Now, don't forget, your job is to read this passage and then complete the entire graphic organizer. That means paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, write an inference, and then write your question. Mine are just examples to show you how to make the text box and to remind you of some of the things that we've done in the past with these ideas like main idea paragraphs and inferences and asking questions. Now, even though it's tempting to move on to this one, this page here is the comprehension questions, and this is for Thursday. This one is for Friday. These problems here where it says weekly word problems, this is Monday and Tuesdays. These are just extra problems if you want to do them. If I go back to that front page, I can see that I have completed the second task. So I'm going to make my little box here. Hopefully I can pick it up a little bit easier than I did last time. Put my X the best I can on that section. Doesn't have to be perfect. But then I'm going to read the next direction. Complete Wednesday's weekly word problem. So I'm going to go find the word problems for Wednesday. And I see it says Wednesday here. And it says there's 3 problems now, so not too long. I'm going to help you with the first one to show you how I would solve it. And then you need to do the next 3. And you're going to use the regular read, draw, write. You need to read it, look for what you can draw to help you solve the problem, and then write an answer. So I do expect complete answers down here. It says Isabella planted 178 geranium seeds and 167 bluebonnet seeds. How many seeds did she plant in all? Now this one's not too hard because I see those keywords. How many did she plant in all? I know that this one is an addition problem because it tells me 2 different amounts and it's looking for the total amount. But I don't want to just guess my answer. I want to make sure that I show my work. So I'm going to take another piece of paper, and you'll want to get a piece of scratch paper or maybe like an old piece of mail, because I write on old mail, old junk mail all the time for my notes. And I'm going to show my work. So we're going to say this is G, that's the geranium seeds. Right, and let's see, how many seeds was that? You don't want to guess, you want to get the exact amount. that was 178. So I'll write that in there, 178. And then, and the G is for labeling. Remember, we're really working hard to label because that's one of our areas of weakness there. And then the bluebonnet seeds were 167, 167, 167, 167, and that's the bluebonnets. And they're wondering, what is the total amount? So it looks like I need to add these up. And I am not a really big fan of doing addition and subtraction problems horizontally like this. So I'm going to rewrite it, stack them up, organize them so that it's easier for me to add. So we have 8 and 7, and I know 8 plus 8 is 16. Take away 1, that's 15. So 8 plus 7 is 15. There's 5 ones. I carry the 10 up to the top. And then I have 7 plus 6 plus 1 more. And I know that 6 and 1 is 7, and 7 and 7 is 14. So 1 plus 7 plus 6 is 14. That's 4 tens. Stays down here. And then one group of 100 goes up here. Then I have 1 plus 1 plus 1. That's really represents 3 100s, and that is going to be 3. So we get the number 345. So we need to write that in a complete sentence. We need to say that she planted 345 seeds altogether. Let's try not to forget that number, but I might have to come back and look at it. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to write my answer in a complete sentence. Isabella planted 345 seeds in all. Let's make sure I reread that and I said seeds in all, period. And it's okay if you can't show your work on this page, because you can always do your work in another place and then write your complete sentence here. The next problem says, if Isabella planted 39 flower seeds and only 1/3 of the seeds sprouted, how many seeds sprouted? This problem here is going to take some thinking. You're going to probably have to divide 39 into 3 equal parts, and that might take a little bit of time. I would probably make 3 circles and pretend to put 1 seed in each circle until I found out how many seeds were sprouted. And then the next problem says Isabella planted 9 packs of flower seeds. There are 55 seeds in each pack, so how many seeds did she plant? There's a lot of ways you can go about solving this. You might break 55 into smaller parts. You might add 55 9 times. I want you to be creative. If you can solve it, I will be so impressed, because that's starting on that 4th grade work. You've already learned how to multiply by 9s. You know how to multiply by multiples of 9, so you can break it apart. The real thing that I want you to think about is how to solve this difficult problem, because you have all of the skills you need in order to solve it. Once you're done with that, we have a couple other pages. We have this page, which is week 30, day 1. This is an extra page. Day 2 is also an extra page, because back here, after we completed the word problems, oh, come here. We have complete week 30, day 3 daily review. So we need to find day 3, which is this one. You can see the page up here. It says day 3. This is kind of tough, okay, you guys? because everything's really small and we're gonna have to figure out how to make this work the best we can. We might have to do some of our work on another paper, and some of it I might just say, don't worry about it. Start by adding your name. Putting your name in the correct location, if you can. Like I said, it's really hard for me. Put the date. This is March 25th. Do 2020. Do a rest to move that up into place. Okay. The first box says solve what property is shown, and we learned properties a while back, and I remember there was a couple of properties that really used parentheses. It was the associative property and the distributive property, and if you don't remember both, if you just remember one, you can figure out what the other one was. So I'm looking at it and it's not breaking any numbers apart. And I remember that distributive property was to break apart a number. This one is just regrouping the numbers in an easier way. We had 3 times 2 first times 4. And then the second problem, it has 3 times 2 times 4, which 2 times 4 is the thing that we're going to do first. So we need to solve the problems and then select which property it is. Since I remember what distributive was and I remember which ones use parentheses, I can say that it's definitely the associative property in this case. But let's answer the problems the best we can. It's going to be a little bit tough for Miss Jones here. Let's see. 3 times 2 is the thing in parentheses, so that's what we solve first. 3 times 2 is 6. And then we have, let's see, 6 times 4, because 4 is what's left over. And I already know what 6 times 4 is. It is going to be 24. And because I know the associative property always has the same answer, I know the total is going to be the same. It's just solved in a different order. So we have 2 times 4 is the first one. 2 times 4 is 8. Come here. And then we have what's left over in the original equation is 3. We can't forget about it. Oh, remember, if there's ever something that happens you don't like, always hit undo. And then 3 times 8 is definitely 24. Okay. So it's a little hard. I'm not going to try to mislead you. It's definitely a little tricky. I am going to insert a shape to fill in the dot. I'm going to color that dot in black and then move my dot to the correct place. Let's see. Hopefully, like I said, it's not really what I would say is easy for me to move. Maybe I'll try to get into the correct place. Associative property. Make it really tiny the best I can. Okay. If yours isn't perfectly lined up, I understand. Just do your best on this one. Associative property. Then you'll move on. What is the number in the hundreds place? And I know that number is 0. What's the number in the thousands place? And then you'll just fill in with text what the number is. Not too tough. Here it says finish the inequality to make it true. It's looking for 4/4. So I'm looking if this is 1, 2, 3, 4/4, and this is to make it equal, it'd have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 6. So you just put the number 6. It says write 2 fractions that equal 1 whole. And in fact, you have them right there. There's already 4/4 and 6, 6. And you know that if the numerator and the denominator are the same, it is equal to 1 whole. Down here you have the number of goals scored. We just learned about line blots. I said how many players scored 3 or 5 goals. So you would just add up the ones for 3, the ones for 5, and then write your total here. This is the one here. where if you because we don't have crayons, unless you wanted to print them out, you don't need to do them. So I'm just going to write here. Come here. Skip these. And then this one here, also the really cool little, oh my goodness, reindeer is supposed to be colored in. Since we are on a computer, we don't really have that option. So I'm going to also say it's fine to skip this one. Unless you're feeling really creative like Donovan and can have them printed out. That would be cool. This one says, have you ever heard of Yosemite National Park? And it wants you to capitalize the proper nouns. The easiest way to do this would just be to retype the entire sentence with the correct capitalization. And I would just say, have you ever been to capitalize Yosemite? Oops. National Park. Because Yosemite National Park is the name of the location. And I'm going to make this much smaller so it all fits there. And you can do the same for the bottom one. It says blank is located in California. I guess when they copied it, it didn't copy correctly. So I would just say, just do the end of the sentence of what you do see. It says next here, it says circle the correct homophone. Remember, homophones are words that sound the same but mean different things. The brave knight or knight saved the day. Well, I think that we can have a shape. I think we can make a shape. There we go. And you can see that you can still circle the correct word and put it in the, if hopefully, like I said, it's easier for you to move around things than it is for me. Come here. Get in the right place, you. Undo. Maybe if I get closer, I can pick it up easier. Here we go. And circle knight. So you can use your shapes to circle correctly. This one should be easy. You write a sentence using the contraction your. Contractions are words that are originally two words, but you kind of blend them together by omitting some of the letters, and your is the contraction of you are, and you can just write a sentence. You're doing awesome. So I use the contraction your, and you'll do the same thing using the word your, which doesn't mean you are. When there's no apostrophe, it means that it belongs to you, like your backpack, your hair. The last section, you can skip the cursive unless you are very creative and you figured out how you're going to do it. That's fine. You can skip the cursive, or if you can figure it out, you can do it. Now I go back to the beginning and I see that I have completed everything that I needed to do for Wednesday. And you can see that really didn't take very long. And I know that I skipped some of the problems, but it shouldn't take you too much longer. I didn't want to have to make you watch every single thing. Now, hang on a second. Sorry I didn't do everything, but I didn't want to make you watch anything any longer than that. Hopefully this video is helpful to you. If it's still hard, I understand, because working with the Google Slides is not what I would consider easy. I was hoping to do it on Class Kick because that's a lot easier to move things around and type things correctly. But sorry, my camera thinks it's time to take pictures. But anyways, do your best. If you have questions, please ask them. I will do my best to help you. Some people are printing them and doing them and then uploading them again. That's fine. I've already graded somebody's work that had done that. You're amazing. Everyone, thank you for trying so hard. I hope to hear from you soon.